As a non-canon expert who's a big fan of Darth Bane and his rule of two, one of the best questions that I've heard and have received quite a bit has been, why did Sith Lords willingly train an apprentice that they knew would one day rise to confront them, kill them, and then take their mantle as Dark Lord of the Sith in the rule of two era? This is a great question, as it's often seen as a significant weakness of the rule of two, wherein it would be unrealistic to expect a Sith Lord of all people to train their would-be successor. So then why would Darth Bane implement a rule that expected Sith to train and advance the skills of another Sith for the express purpose of eventually replacing them? In this video expose, I will answer this question from the point of view of Bane, and explain what the first Dark Lord of the Sith expected of succeeding Sith Lords in continuing his grand plan and training apprentices as part of his rule of two. First, the primary end of Darth Bane and his new Order of the Sith Lords must be understood if one is to recognize why Sith Masters would willfully train apprentices who would come to replace them. In the most important lesson passed on to Bane from Darth Revan's holocron, discovered within an ancient temple on Lahan, Bane learned that above all else, the Sith must bind themselves to serving the dark side. Directly stated to Bane by the Spectre of Revan created by his holocron, those who use the dark side are bound to serve it. To understand this is to understand the underlying philosophy of the Sith. Therefore, before Bane would even learn the basic tenets of his rule of two, he understood that whatever path he created for the future of the Sith would have to be duty-bound to the dark side, where nothing else could come before it. But as created by Bane, the rule of two and the expectation that masters would train the very apprentices who would expressly come to challenge and replace them was born out of the understanding that the dark side was to underlie all actions and goals taken by the Sith. As Darth Bane understood and first discovered by Darth Revan, a Sith Order that did not put the dark side above all else was destined to fail. The rule of two, with only one master and one apprentice, remedied the ultimate failure of the Sith. In an era with armies filled with numerous Dark Lords, the Sith lost their focus upon the primacy of the dark side. Instead of dedication to the Force, the Sith were focused on empowering themselves, giving into rivalry and power struggles that didn't promote the dark side, but their own position within the galaxy. Of course, as weaker Sith joined forces to eliminate stronger rivals, the Sith Order was weakened. Therefore, Darth Bane's rule of two was a philosophy that would put the Sith upon a path ensuring that the dark side was the focus, and not the power of individual Sith within the Order. It was only through this dedication to the dark side and a recognition of its primacy that the Sith could bring about their goals and grand plan for rule of the galaxy. Given that this was the primary focus of the new Order of the Sith Lords, Bane expected that every Dark Lord would continue this end forward and put the efforts of the Sith first. As set out in Bane's writings within the Book of Sith, the Sith Order was to be a lineage, one where power was passed down from master to apprentice willingly. The passing down of knowledge and the fundamental axiom that all Sith Masters were to train a capable apprentice to one day surpass and replace them was to be understood from the beginning. As Bane admonished any Sith deemed capable of joining his order, the Sith Order is a lineage. It must not end with you. I will not allow my new Sith Order to expire because you were unworthy or too protective to bequeath your power. Further, his teachings in the Book of Sith directly set out the need for Sith Lords to accept the fact that their apprentices would one day not just challenge them, but kill them. He wrote, "Know this, your apprentice will kill you. If this fact frightens you, then the Sith Order has already suffered a fatal infection. Your existence in the Order is not needed. Your battle has already been lost." From the beginning, a Sith Lord was to learn that it was a necessary tenet of the Order that their apprentice would kill them. Any Sith who wasn't capable of understanding this was viewed by Bane as an infection needing to be removed. Because the dark side and the ultimate control of the galaxy the Sith would achieve through their dedication to it was primary, the Order of the Sith Lords worked to promote the understanding that if the Sith were to survive and carry out their grand plan to destroy the Republic and Jedi, the Master needed to train and teach an apprentice who would ultimately kill them. Of course, as the centuries progressed, the Sith Lords within Bane's order grew less and less inclined to follow these tenets set forth by the originator of the Rule of Two. By the time of Darth Plagueis and his master Darth Tenebris, both Sith Lords agreed that the rule of two, and particularly the aspect calling upon a master to train an apprentice to kill them, had expired. As Plagueis himself concluded, he was not one to lay in wait or devote his reign merely to positioning subsequent Sith to carry out the grand plan. Although these Sith who would bring Bane's imperative to fruition respected Bane and his rule of two, they no longer held true to his axiom that the Order had to strictly conduct itself as a lineage, and felt that they could be the ones to have it end with them. Nonetheless, Sith Masters in the era of the Rule of Two willfully trained apprentices knowing that they would one day kill them because Darth Bane sufficiently prepared them to make such a sacrifice. By recognizing that above all else, the dark side was the underlying tenet of the Sith, and it was the dark side that would help them to achieve their goals, Bane did attempt to prepare the Sith Lords who would come after him to accept the fact that their apprentices would kill them, just as he accepted it. But in doing so, the dark side would grow, with the Sith Order alongside it. So there we have it, why Sith Masters willfully trained apprentices who would kill them in the Rule of Two era. We love making these videos, so why not subscribe for more fun Star Wars theories and discussions? Also, if you enjoyed the video, think about giving a like or leaving a comment. Or perhaps follow us on Twitter at SW Reading Club for updates regarding the channel. Or support the channel through Patreon for access to exclusive hangouts and book discussions. If not for me, for not listening to good advice.